this was the strengthening temporary residence programs for sustainable volume. This was the most recent changes or things that have been announced. I'm sure all of you who are interested in this are already aware. So when they made this announcement, they just threw it out. And most of these announcements would say they will be announced later. We will be telling you later. We'll be announcing later in the fall, later. Why not now? Why don't you announce it at the same go, right? For example, the proposed reduction that we already know that they're already reducing, okay? Graduates from programs at public colleges will remain eligible. We already know of up to 3 years if they graduate from a field of study linked to occupations of long-term shortage. Now, again, when you make statements like this, but you don't provide context, you don't provide clarity, imagine the amount of speculation that goes on, okay? And then there is, again, you see lots of things. In some, they are putting a date, and in some, they are not. And then they put English language, but they don't say that postgraduate work permits need English language. That's what they said, but they don't tell you academic or general, creating more confusion for people out there. If you see any of these kind of announcements that they make, in most cases, they will always say, later in the year, we will be doing this. Come fall, we will. For example, there's another classic case, international students. International students were able to work full-time until April this year, right? And just before April, Mark Miller came and said, later this year, the international students will now be able to work 24 hours per week. Later this year, in the fall. We are in fall. They have not come back and said anything about the change of working hours or to 24. And as of right now, it is still 20. So when you make these announcements, there is nothing to follow up, right? Then they said, later this year, we will be announcing new programs for tier 4 and tier 5 for permanent residents. And then silence, nothing. So much of speculation, agents are all creating all kinds of programs by themselves and selling them. Then they came out and said, again, silent, no details, no criteria. Later this year, we will be changing the pathways for the child caregiver program so that they will become permanent residents the minute they land. Again, silence, nothing else came out. What is wrong with you guys? When you have already designed a program, when you've already designed a policy and you want to make an update, give us the criteria from get-go. Why are you creating so much of confusion? But for some reason, they enjoy it. I think it is some sort of a sadistic pleasure that these guys get out of it. But we got to live with it. Hey, I'm an immigration consultant. What do I know, right? So